Hey guys, Keith here. Two Guys How-Tos and the Fish Kings. And June's behind me. We're getting ready to get raw and open up this 35 Merc. It's a 35 oil injected Mercury. And we've never worked on this motor. We got the boat, we used it a little bit, and then just kind of sat around, and now we're just figuring, give it a little bit of life. But we're gonna do the water pump in this today, the water pickup, the Impeller. And we went ahead and checked the mail. Everyone likes to get a nice gift in the mail. So we got this, actually we got this off of eBay, and it's SCI Marine Products. And they gave us a free sticker, and who doesn't like a free sticker? So SCI hooked us up, and the total cost of this was $44.29 with tax. And that's not a bad price. Get a boat on the water. If you dropped it off the shop, they'd keep it up there for months and maybe get it done right, maybe not. But the part number on this is a 96-264-03K as in kite. And we're hoping this all fits. We'll know once we open it. Like I said, we've never done a water pump on this particular boat motor. And if we run into other problems, we'll fix them and show you how to do that as well. So let's crack into this thing, and I'll try to be as descriptive as possible without making you sick from the view here. But long story short, you got this little plug on the top here of the lower housing. You pop this out. It's got two little pinch clamps. You pop it out, and there's a bolt down in there that you're going to want to get out. And it also looks like it's got a couple stainless steel, one on this side, and again one on this other side way down in here. And that seems to be about it. And I think the lower half will come out. And then there's one here. Let me get up in there. There's one right here. And then when you go down through this top bolt here and pop this little type keel, that's a trim. I'm not even sure. I'm having a blank on what it's called right now, but that'll come out, and there'll be another bolt up in there that you're gonna have to get to. So June's gonna crack this open. He's using the 3/8 drive with the long extension. And he actually, this extension he has, this 8-inch extension here, has a lock on it, and it locks that socket down on there so that socket won't fall in and fall into this housing right here. So when he takes that off, we're good to go. We might use a little bit of anti-seize down in there later. And that's opened up, and you can see right there that the bolt he just unloosened right here goes down into that little upper keel that we took off. And we're going to use this here, another 3/8 drive ratchet with a different size socket to take that bolt off. That's going up in there into that main housing to hold it together nice and tight. I kind of like the way they got it set up. They got things kind of hidden where you can't see a lot of bolts, but they're all hidden, and they're all stainless steel. So I'm liking it already, the way it's coming apart. And we'll just save all this stuff and just take pictures if you forget.
These are all 5/8. This one is 1/2 inch.
These are 5/8 here. This particular one down in this upper keel is what'd you say, 3/8?
1/2 inch.
1/2 inch wrench on this, 5/8 on that. And then there's another one. Let's see if I can bring this back even more. I might have to take this camera off, but you can see it right up in here. It's way up in there. If we take this bolt out, you can see it. And that looks about a 14 mil, maybe. 14 millimeter or 9/16. And we're gonna get in there and take that out. And I'm gonna bring this back so you can see exactly what he's doing from far now. And make sure that's good to go. So we had the one in here, down inside here, that held that upper keel on right there. And this is probably like maybe a zinc or something. I'm not sure if they make something specific so it doesn't rot out, but we're gonna put that there. We had another bolt that was up inside up here, which was 5/8. And this particular one that held the keel on was 1/2 inch. Now it looks like he's on a 9/16 there.
Yep.
And he's gonna take that off. That just leaves us the two other bolts up in the very front that look like they're 9/16 as well. And we should be able to drop this lower unit down. We got two 5/8. So we're gonna start cracking into these 5/8 bolts here. and they weren't very tight, and I'm going to remember how tight they were just so we can put them back on. We're not going to use any specific torque and all that crazy stuff. We've been doing this stuff for so long and fix everything. It's we really don't need to worry about it. And then you got another 5/8 over here. And these are nice, good stainless steel bolts. Looks like they're acorn nuts. The top of them isn't hollow, so it must go down and fit perfect. When you push that lower end up in there, those studs come up through there onto it. And we'll see if it gives us trouble or not. Yep, you got a rubber mallet, and this is a dead blow mallet here. It's got sand in it, and you can kind of hear it. I'm just worried about these nuts here. Are they all the way off, you know?
I think you gotta drop this a little bit.
So we'll tap on this just lightly, just to see if we can get it to drop. I'm seeing a split there, but I'm not seeing a major split, you know? We're just gonna bang on it a little bit with this dead blow. It's starting to bust a little bit. And I'm gonna give this to June. I'm gonna show you guys how it's coming apart. And we're gonna get right down on this thing here. And you can see right here, sorry to shake the camera so much, but you can see it's starting to come apart right in this crack right here. So we're gonna just keep banging it lightly with that dead blow. Let's set this back up so you can see exactly what's going on. It's going to drop, and as it drops, you want to keep unscrewing these screws on the sides. Yours off here, over here, June? More? Okay. So, and we could take this bolt out. I'd rather not. I'd rather just leave that one in and just gently hit this top. You don't want to break it, you know? You don't want to break it. You want to be down there and then hit down the bottom. Don't smash June's fingers. And then now it dropped down about a 1/2 inch, so we're going to undo these acorn nuts a little bit more. And they've got a nice lock washer on them. I'm going to take them all the way to the top, and boom, it's pretty much ready to come out. What about you, June?
Yep.
Okay, set these right there. And this whole lower unit, and we've got already we've got a broken gasket. Now this could be the exhaust gasket, which, okay, so this goes around the shaft. We're going to see if this is, if the kit came with one. If it doesn't, something else we're going to have to order. But I'm just going to take this apart gently, look at it. You got, once again, you got them damn stink bugs in there. The dang stink bugs just will not get away, and they find their way into everything. And you can see there's another gasket up at the very top here on this shaft. So we're going to memorize everything. This is your exhaust, and we're going to set these gaskets right here. Jack this camera up a little better.
Is water pump right here?
Yeah, the water pump's going to be under this housing here. Here's your pickup tube. Your exhaust is here, your main shaft that runs from the motor, it turns that prop, and this big old fat pickup tube. If you watch the video from the Tracker 9.9, that pickup tube is a lot smaller than that. So let's get this camera moved back, and we're going to take this thing apart, take it out, set it on the work table somewhere. Where you want to take it over to the table? We're going to take it over. We're going to take it over to the work table, the picnic table with the gap in it, and we're going to set it down in there, put the keel down in the gap, and start taking this thing apart. Okay guys, we're back here over at the table. You know, we're using this old picnic table. It has the gaps in it. We slid this one in because the keel was a little bigger, so we slid it in there, and it's pretty nice and sturdy enough to do this build. So we're going to keep it in there and watch it. And like I said, we never worked on the water pump on this 35 Merc, but we're just going to crack into it just like you are. So hopefully you check this and you get some confidence and you run through it and just do it yourself, knock it out. I mean, hell, we had it off of there in 5 minutes, nothing. This one's easier than the 9.9. 9.9 was a little bit more work, you know. But you know, these are 7/16 bolts here. This is all American stuff. You could get away with metric too. It's just going to be a little bit different, but the 7/16 seems to be a little bit more tighter fit. Everything's stainless steel though. I'm liking the way it's set up. June's setting the bolts out over there on the table the same way they came out. Nut washer, nut washer. This will be the last nut and washer here. And it looks like this oil tube will come right up with this housing. So we're gonna pick up, I mean, not the oil, the water tube. We're gonna do this pickup tube and gently just pull it up and pick it up off of there. And this little top, it almost looks like it's fake, like an orangish wood color. We're gonna take that off and don't bust it, just ease it up. And you can see what this looks like. It's got some kind of some slot wear in it just because it's going over top of that shaft. And then we just picked it right up. You can see the dang impeller right in there. And once again, you always wanna get that the rotation. So this particular looks like a sun, you know, or a saw blade, and all those blades are going clockwise. So we're gonna make sure when we put it in, it's gonna go clockwise, and it's gonna go right back up just the same way it went in. So June's gonna look at it, memorize it, I'm gonna look at it, and you can take a picture of it as well if you don't have the video camera or something like that. And June will take a quick pic. That way you cannot mess this up. And it kind of sees, you can see how your seats are in here and the impeller part of itself, and it doesn't look broken, and we haven't even had this boat running to know if this is bad. It's just once a year preventative maintenance. You don't want to die out on the water. That motor starts overheating, you're done. You're gonna blow up an expensive motor at $100 horsepower used. They used to be 50, now they're probably $100 horsepower used all day long, and it's not worth it for, what do we pay, $47 for this kit? And we're good to go. And we know it's done right because we did it. So we're just gonna keep plucking along. You can kind of see a gasket down in here, and it's got a wear plate, nice stainless wear plate. And I'm not sure if all that comes off. The last one we did, it came with the metering block and everything, which we just swapped out. Once again, right here, we got that Woodruff key, that little set key that goes on the side of this shaft. And on this particular way, the shaft's coming up, and I can bring the camera over. This key set in for that impeller. It has a notch inside that impeller. If we take this out of here, and once again, it's going clockwise, and you can see up inside there's a little cut. And on this Woodruff key, or a set key, it's got that little cut. So that cut has to go up inside that impeller when you put it on. And that's what keeps that impeller from spinning on that shaft and actually working. So we're gonna be careful not to lose this. You know, it's stainless as well. It might be hard to find. Chances are you will find it if you got a clean area. So we're gonna set that down, and we're gonna make note that that Woodruff key, that set key, is on the 9 o'clock position. If you're looking at it, 12, 6, 9. And that's where we're gonna set that impeller when we go down. We're gonna spin it to the 9 and drop it down onto that key.
This with gasket on each side.
Yeah, and see this particular thing, it's got the gasket where that top water pump housing was sitting, where the impeller was sitting. It's got the gasket, it's got your wear plate, and it's got another gasket. So it looks like a pretty heavy duty system for where that impeller runs on here, and it's going to be hard to really wear that out. And it looks almost stainless too, you know, or it would have rusted out by using it in the salt water like we do. So we're going to set that the same way it came off. June's slowly prying down into the bottom here. Let me get this camera over here and get up on that set screw, or the set key right here. This Woodruff key, you can see the notch. It's down in there, and it's over here at the 9 o'clock position. And June's going to try to get this block up off of there so we can put down all the new gaskets. And it looks like it's not really trying to pop up at all.
Got to move a little bit.
We got one little bit of WD-40 or something down in there. He's going to spray it with a little WD, and you can't hurt anything. You know, all this stuff's going to rinse off, and we're going to lube it up later on anyway. So let's move this camera back over here, and you can see him getting it out of there. Hopefully that's good enough view. And just slowly pry this up, very, very gently. We're not gonna kill it. We're just gonna come up a little bit and just keep trying to get it out of there gently, very gently, because we're gonna reuse that block. So I'm just gonna keep rocking it little by little. Get a little bit more juice on that thing, down around in the bottom. And you know what? I'm gonna go and get a dentist tool, and I'm put that dentist tool down up under the bottom there, and we can both pick up on that. And I'll be right back. June's gonna keep rocking that back and forth. We're inside and you see this little metering block, the water block down there. June's gonna show you how to get that out the easy way so you're not fighting with it. It's down in there a little more. We got it up some, it goes down in there. But he's gonna put that screwdriver right in the front and push that leverage, moving this thing that way while prying up here and go back and forth. Let off, bring the back, bring the front, bring the back, bring the front. And eventually you get it up. And once you get it up high enough, if you can't grab it, there's a little hole right here. And you can put this little dentist tool in there like this and help pull it up that way too. So he got that out of there. We're gonna dig down in the bottom, and actually these have studs. I wanna show them these studs. These studs, as the rounded side up and the flat side down, they stay in there. So if you take them out, just make sure you put them back in. Don't forget to put them, those hold everything together when we put it back together there. So he's gonna take that up off the top of the shaft here and memorize everything the way it is, the way it's got the gasket here on there. And we'll check this base plate for any scratches or dings or anything. And you want to take the big O-ring they got. You can see the kit comes with a couple O-rings here, and he's going to take that one off with that dentist tool. Try and be careful not to notch down in back behind it. And we'll just match these up. And there you go. There's that. And here's your little flat gasket. Lay it down the same way as it came off. And we're going to clean everything up. Open this box up, and we're going to look down in there. Just check for any wear. You can see that main bearing is good. It's got plenty of lube down there from the WD-40, and there's no dirt down in there, which is great. So I'm gonna move this back over, get this thing set up a little higher so you guys can watch, and I'm gonna double check that the mic's still on and everything's recording right. And start putting things together, open this kit up. Like I said, it's a 96-26403K on this Merc 35, and it's a direct injection 2-stroke motor. And I'm gonna hold it there for a second so you guys can see. And this is by SEI, and I just met the guy, on eBay, bought it up, came quick, boom, bam, and we're done, man. We get this boat on the water, make sure we clean everything and lay all this nice new stuff out so we don't lose any of it. And there's a couple other gaskets in there, that a couple that's stuck up on the side there, and we don't know if we're going to use them all. Sometimes these are made for multiple motors. This might do like a 25, 30, 35, 40 on up to 60. I'm not quite sure on this model number kit. So because they're made for multiple kits, you might not use everything. And don't be discouraged by that. Just run whatever you're gonna do. But hell, even this kit came with a new set key and everything. I mean, I'm digging this kit. The lower part in here, this particular kit didn't come with, there's a spring in there. And it looks like it's just a spring that holds the seal up close to that shaft. And to be honest with you, it looks pretty good. We're not gonna worry about it. If it was all beat up, we're gonna lube everything, and that one round O-ring gasket goes around there. It's gonna go back in there, and it came with a new gasket that fits over top once we get the O-ring. We'll put this on first, then we'll snap the O-ring on there. That way it'll lock it in place where it can't fall out. And like I said, these kits are for multiple motors. So they came with a couple other gaskets, very similar to the ones that are there. This one's a little too small, and this one's a little too small, and these are probably for maybe a 30 horsepower or something like that. So we're not going to throw them out. We always keep these around. You never know when you're going to need, a specific gasket like that. So we're going to put it in the shop and move this camera back a little bit. And I'm just going to take a screwdriver on this rag and make sure this rag's clean. And we're just going to go down inside this housing real lightly and clean out the walls. There's a bearing down there. You just want to make sure all that gook is out of there. And actually, can you do this a little bit, June? I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to show you what it looks like down inside there. He's got that screwdriver inside that rag real gently so it can reach down in there and clean off without leaving any lint or any dirt down on that main bearing. And because that's where that one O-ring seal is going to go, the black O-ring around the main basically base plate of the pump is going to seal down in there. We're going to put some grease got it pretty clean there, June? Okay, and once again, our go-to grease is this, it's Harvey's, and it's the plumber's faucet and valve grease. It's made for potable water, drinking water inside your house, for all the faucets and any kind of diverter, cartridges you're changing out, or water filter. So go ahead and get a generous amount of that, and I would put it down in there too a little bit if you can get your finger down in there. And it doesn't really matter there, because if he puts that O-ring on the metering block down there, we'll go ahead and just slide it right in, and we won't run into any problems with it getting hemmed up at all. So yeah, you can grease this O-ring real good before he puts it on that bottom metering block there. And we're pretty good. He's gonna get that down on there, pinch that around there. Like I said, he put the one gasket on first, right here. So if you don't put this flat one on first, you can't get that O-ring on. That O-ring kind of locks it on where it won't come off there. So heavy up, grease that up. Check the bottom, everything's clean, good to go. And you need another gasket down on that bottom or no? Okay, so that's going to flip around, and this is going to go right down. This is going to go right down inside the cavity that we cleaned where the bearing is. So we're greased up and good to go, and he's going to feed that over top that shaft there. Yeah, we can grease this. If not, we'll grease it later. Yeah, we'll put some grease in the middle, and can't go wrong with that. That drinkable, it's not drinkable grease, but it's not going to eat up these gaskets. If you use something else like Vaseline or something, you know, that's not made for these type of rubber gaskets, you could run into premature failure. So we're just going to put that on there like that, get it down the shaft, and keep it going. You got it upside down. Yep. That way it goes down on there and it'll seal nice and tight. And remember, we kind of had to rock it to get it out, so you might have to just rock it and down a little bit and press it down in there and get it, you know, once again, we're going to rock it and teeter it back and forth, get it in place. And when we tighten it down, it'll snug up. These studs kind of make it a little bit more difficult. And once again, make sure these stainless pins are in. This is what's going to line up everything here. And he's rocking it back and forth just to make sure it's seated in there the way it was when we came out. And it feels nice and flush there, and we're good. And it's not rocking back and forth, so we're good there. What else do you have going on there, June? We've got another gasket there, and you want to line it up, and you can see it's got to be flipped over. Whoops. These studs, these metal studs are going to line up just like that. So we're going to run that over top of there and bring it straight on, slam down, take over the studs, and you can see these little pins right here. And these will come out, but you don't need to mess with them. And then you got that the wear plate, and it looks still pretty good. And you can see you don't want to put it upside down because you got this crook right here. The way it makes the water flow, you want that down in there. If that's up, you're gonna, yeah, and it has to line up once again with these metal pins. So you just keep lining everything up like a puzzle and dry fit everything. If you're hesitant, don't force it in, just get it in there. And once again, you got to pick up on this just a little and keep it a little more level when it's going down in there. Just the way those studs are, they don't give you much room. And I'll hold this here, and we'll get this back in here first, and then line this front up, and that's good to go. And we got one more gasket. And once again, these little marks are going to line up with those studs, and it's all going to go right back together, the exact same way it came out, but even easier because everything's nice and clean. You just get that, make sure they're not bent or wrinkled, and no, it's looking good. It's looking real good. And he's got the pump housing there. Let me prop this back up here for you guys. He's got the pump where the impeller goes in. Remember when we looked at it, all these fins, this sand paddle tire, look-alike star here, is going to go clockwise. When I remember, and June's got a picture, and we're going to double off of my memory and off of his picture of his phone. And I don't know if you guys can see that. This is the way I think it goes, and that matches his picture. So, and once again, we have that little mark there at the 9 o'clock position on this particular motor. you can spin it wherever, but the mark's still at 9 o'clock over here where that little set key, Woodruff key, is going to go. And once again, we're going to grease the heck out of, we're using all my grease. We're going to grease this impeller pump housing up inside there where that pump's going to go, because when you fire this thing up in that water, it's going to be dry at first before it really starts working its way in, and you want it to be less friction as possible. If not, you're going to have premature failure on that brand new impeller. So we're going to juice that up, and that's pretty good and heavy. And what about the inside? You want the inside of it as well here, and we're going to put this in. What about this seal? Did it come with any seal here? No seal. The seal looks pretty good. Everything's tight. I mean, this is heavy duty plastic. I'm kind of impressed with the setup. And we're just going to go ahead and put this impeller in there. And since all the tips need to go this way on the star, we're just going to hook it up and push it in backwards and bend those things in the direction that we want. And it's going to be a little tricky. Don't break them. Don't use something. This is harder than the one we did yesterday because these fins are so stiff. I mean, they got good composition right there. So June might have to hold this. You want to hold this part here, and let's just I'm going to lube this thing up and get it all over it and see if we can flex it in there gently. Sometimes you put a rubber band around them, and then when you drop it in there, you cut that rubber band off. If it doesn't go like this, I'm going to go get a big rubber band, because this impeller's got some power to it, man. It's not going the way I really wanted. And you don't want to use anything sharp on it. You don't want to cut into it. So I might have to just go get a big rubber band and put it around it and drop that thing back down in there, because this thing's got some torque to it. So let me run inside and grab a rubber band. We'll be right back. Guys, I went inside, I got a rubber band, and we're on our way back over to put this. Hey guys, hit or push it, whatever you can do, but do not scratch the sides in there. The seal needs to be seated in there pretty decent. So he's just going to push it out real gently. Boop. And he pulled it out. We can clean it up a little bit if you want with some rubbing alcohol and a rag, or is it pretty clean now, June? I would just clean it a little bit while we're here. Now that he's got that clean, he can install the brand new seal. These are our old ones here. Oh, that's the brand new one there. And he's just going to gently push it up in there, and you can see when he pushes it, it's not quite flush, and he's got to push it up a little bit more, which is going to make room for our brand new gasket. And he's gently pushing. He's using the tool, but he's using the blunt part of the tool. He's not using the tip. You can use a small screwdriver, or maybe a socket would fit in there, and just be real gentle with it.
Once you get it flush, you're good.
Yeah, and you can see it on this notch side that touches the exhaust. It's flush. So he's got this other seal, and just make sure you put that in the right way. One side's indented, it's cupped, and the other side is flat. So you want to put the cup side down in there.
Where your tube's going to rest for this.
Yeah, that tube's going to go up in there. And we're going to grease this tube, the end of this tube, that way it can go up in there, and it has to fit. And we only got one shot at this, to where I'm not trying to sit here all day and do it. So we got the new gasket. The only problem is putting this back up that exhaust tube and letting it fall back down, and then fishing it back to the top and tightening this up. I mean, you can see it's just a little teeny piece with 2 8mm bolts in it. We got some spray copper, and this is a Permatex, and we keep this around the shop. Basically, it's like spray paint, but it's a gasket sealer. And we're gonna shake it up. We've had it out in the sun a little bit, flip it upside down, shake it. We're gonna gently mist that top part, not the part up in the motor on this gasket, but we're gonna gently mist the base plate of this water pickup tube housing. That way, when we put that gasket on there, it's gonna stick to that. So when we put it up in there and drop it down and all that, it's not gonna come off. We're not gonna spray copper the top part that touches the motor, because later when you go to take it off, this gasket's gonna be stuck up there, and you're gonna have to try to get it out of there, which is almost impossible. If not, you got to take the motor, the power head off where it meets the exhaust area, and then you need that whole gasket, and that's a whole nother bunch of labor. So we're gonna do it our way, which works, and you can do it your way, which should be our way if you wanted to get off later on. And the impeller that you buy should come with all this stuff, but of course it doesn't. So we're back to just figuring stuff out the way that we always do. So June's gonna spray that up, and actually we're gonna clean this a little bit with some rubbing alcohol too, now that he's got the gaskets in there. And we're just gonna clean the top part of that, just so that Permatex, that spray copper, will stick to it and get a good seal. Let that dry off. And he's gonna just spray it right down here on the table, and I'll show you. Shake it up a lot though. Make sure you shake it a lot, get that copper mixed in, get that glue mixed in with whatever solvent they're using in there to make it spray out. And you can see it's a copper color, and it's a nice gasket seal there. So let's get back over to here. He's gonna gently pick it up. We're gonna screw these bolts out just a little bit, just to set that gasket on. And you want the copper, spray copper side down, so the top's nice and clean. The copper side we just sprayed is down there. So if we set that on there, and we let it get a little tacky, I think we should use a little more. I think we should spray it heavy. Yeah, spray it heavy, because once you put it up in there, that thing's gonna fall off. Yep. Just go heavy with it. And I'm gonna press it down on there, because this thing's so awkward. I think it's made to take the power head, the motor totally off the unit. That's just a lot more work. This is just craziness to change an impeller to get out fishing. You know, you don't want to waste 3-4 weeks on a boat, but that's just the way they're doing it. If you get a little copper on the top, we'll wipe it off. Where's that rubbing alcohol? Okay, and we're just gonna take off. We don't want any glue on that top one, otherwise later on down the line, you're never gonna get it off of there. And on these bolts here, they normally don't stay in. The only reason why these are staying in now when I tug on them is because when you wrench it up, it kind of mushrooms in around the plastic. So if you have to, you're gonna have to fish these things up one at a time with that little pinch tool. And maybe you need one pinch tool to hold it, or you can heat these ends a little bit and kind of push them in and then screw these bolts in. That's how we kind of have it, where it's tight, where this whole unit goes up on there and we're not fighting with this thing for hours. So we're gonna screw these up a little bit more, and maybe just put a little anti-seize on them. That way, if we go to work on this thing later on down the line, it'll come right out of that aluminum block, because different metals, when they get hot and they get exposed to the elements, they will bond together. So we're gonna just put a little bit of anti-seize on the tip of those there. Some will stay on, some won't. I'm gonna put a little bit more, just because we're gonna kind of run it up that exhaust tube, and I know stuff's gonna fall off of there. And I'll screw them up a little bit higher. You have the 8 mil at all, anywhere. And I'm just gonna screw these up a little higher, just to get that anti-seize down in on the sides. And then I'm gonna unscrew them back out again. I'm not gonna take them all the way out, because you don't want them to fall out. Just unscrew them back out. That'll hide that anti-seize down in there. And I'm gonna let June do his magic now. Here's your 8 mil. You got enough extensions. And we're running a bunch of extensions. If you don't have the flexible ones, don't worry about it. We took them out with hard ones until we dug the flexible ones out. So just keep putting your extensions on until you get it long enough to actually get up into this housing right here, because you got to go about, you know, a good 2 feet. So just keep adding your extensions on. Bobblehead extensions, where the socket can move a little bit more, or a little bit more forgiving. I like those. If you don't have them, just be patient and you will get it. So June's gonna look down in there with the light, kind of get his bearings straight on where things are gonna go. Huh? Dirty. It's just exhaust oil that's up in there. The only other thing, if you I'll put the rag on here with a little rubbing alcohol. You want to rub it up in there. Is that what you're saying? The base plate is dirty? Just takes. Huh? Super corroded or what?
It's like this shit.
It's probably okay. Can you get that up in there and twist it? And we'll squirt some rubbing alcohol on the end here. Too big. How about like this? What we're trying to do is clean that base plate up there where the rubbing alcohol is. You good? Got it? A little bit more right here, a little bit rubbing alcohol. And he's got that rag pinched on the pinchers there. He's going to try to just gently clean that base plate where that one gasket goes in, where this little bracket mounts. Just kind of get it on there, twist it, drill it, get whatever corrosion you can get off of there. The only other way to do it is to physically take that motor off of this whole housing, which I'm not trying to do today. Okay, so what do you think? Look a little better? All right, well, we're gonna run it. If we run into problems, we're gonna end up taking this whole motor off of here. And I'm not trying to do that today. I think it'll work with the new gasket. So he's getting ready to put that end on those pinchers. And he's going to put it up in that exhaust. And you're basically just going to let go, and it's going to drop down off that exhaust, down up into about right in here. You want the big light or the little one? Here, I'll lighten up this. Can you see that, the housing? You see it, the glare? It's like a little cut, a little notch in that exhaust port up in there, that exhaust pipe. Get it? All right, so now if you...
I got it by one of the screws, it ain't working.
Can you screw one of the screws or get it the looser screw? One of the screws was looser.
That's the one I got.
Okay, if he has it pinched by one of the bolts, if he can get it up in there and screw it, that would be a sweet deal. You on the other bolt now with the claw? So he used the claw on both bolts to screw them in with the claw. Now he can go back up with the hard hard piped in extensions and actually snug them up. Yeah, the best one's that one there. So you really just need a good flashlight and a lot of patience. And a couple of these little magnetic claws. You still good with the light, June? You want to snug the other one before you tighten that one. And you get to them both easy. Just to make sure that gasket just pinches down on there nice and level. So he's just snugging up right now with the extensions. He's just pushing both of those 8mm bolts up nice and even. And then once he gets it touching, he knows it can. He's just going to snug it up. He took it off. He knows how much torque it felt when he was taking it off. And you don't want to squeeze that gasket out. You want it tight, but you don't want it over tight. Maybe go back and forth to both of them and just gently check each one. Yeah, my hand's starting to cramp up. Good there? All right. So we got it tight, we're good now. Now we just need to install the lower end with that copper pickup tube and hit the mark on that. The other gasket grease is down in the basement. The good stuff. Electrode should work. So we're gonna go ahead and grease up the end of this pickup tube here. Insert it in both sides of the impeller pump. And then fish this thing back up there. Hopefully we get a good seal. We'll double check and show you guys what's up. And you want to grease this pickup tube, both ends. One's going to go down into that impeller housing. One's going back up where we just fought with. The crooked end's going to be down at the bottom. Crooked end's at the bottom, right? In this one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you just want to, you'll adjust that and you'll see how it goes into the impeller on there. I thought I remembered it being on the bottom. So let's get this thing lined up. Back up onto this thing here. Fight with a little bit more. And we want to grease the top. Do you have a wrench for those bolts at all? So we got some grease on the pickup tube on the top of the shaft, and you can get this gasket here. They're hard to find. We didn't replace ours because we couldn't find one at Crowley. And it looks in pretty good shape, but we got some axle grease here. Big old tub of it. And we're just gonna lightly hit this spline, just like an axle in a car. Just grease that bad boy up. Can't go wrong. Even the gasket on there, because you don't want things drying out and you want them to work the way they're gonna work. So any grease that's up there will come out. That's fine. I'd rather go a little more thicker with it. And we're good. So let's get this pickup tube. You want to put the pickup tube in first, June, with the flashlight. He's gonna go ahead and just put that copper pickup tube back up in there. And then he can either push the exhaust back up in there or push it up first, whatever he feels comfortable with. And let me just move this over so you guys can see what he's doing. Once that's in there, sits in there pretty tight. Yeah, so he put, once the other piece is in there, remember I showed you the notch, and the part that was notched down, it had some burn mark on it. He said once he pushes that exhaust pipe up in there, it sits up in there real snug once you get that water pickup tube assembly that we just put in. So now the exhaust pipe's staying up nice and good. He's feeding that copper pipe up in there. Still using the flashlight, it's still a bitch. Normally you could probably put it down in here in the lower end as well and kind of fight with it up in there, but he's got it the right way. The crook's on the bottom so he can spin it. And when it goes up, if not, you can spin it a little bit more and get that crook to line up with this lower housing here. So I think we're good to go, man. I greased this top shaft here pretty good. And there's a spline down here as well. Right here, we're gonna put a little grease. I spilled some on it, but we're gonna put a little bit on that as well. Can't go wrong with greasing everything while you're in here. Yep. And I'm gonna hold this pickup tube and get it back into the impeller pickup, water pickup area. I'm gonna hold this pickup tube while he keeps a little bit of pressure on it. Where's that dentist tool here? Okay. And you got to line the studs up, and we put a bunch of grease up in there where the forward and reverses. There's this tilt shaft that goes up in there.
You got 2 washers over there? You need to put a washer here now.
Okay.
One on each side.
And as this is going up, you got to slide these stainless washers up in here, and we put anti-seize on these bolts. You want to put a little bit more? Just because we had it apart. Got a little dab of Dia. Put those washers up over there. Good. And anywhere else there's other bolts, I would anti-seize everything. Here's a nut. And you want to get these nuts started before you push that housing all the way up on there. And this thing wasn't going on very easy because the forward and reverse, when you move the front throttle, there's a little gear up in there that kind of moves like that. I went ahead and I pushed that all the way up and I greased it real heavy, and then this thing just slid right in like you saw. So you don't want to break it. You just want to figure out why it's not going, because it should go in very simply. You're going to have a little pressure right here because you're keeping pressure up on that the water pickup tube going down here and up. So I'm just going to hand tighten these. Put a little bit more anti-seize up in where this keel, the zinc keel sits, and up in this other bolt here. If you ever want to get this stuff off later, I would grease it up now. I think this is a 5/8 here. And these are nylon lock nuts too. You don't want to use a regular nut. If you do, you better use a split washer. And we're just going to draw that up. Not going to tighten it all the way. Just get it snug. And you got one more big nylon lock washer goes up in here. That one we're gonna have to use a socket for, 5/8 socket. Did you tighten yours all the way, June? Okay. And we're just going to keep tightening these up. You can see right there the one nuts we did on both sides. He's got this other one up underneath there. And we snugged up the other two, so we can snug up this one. And since that one's in the middle, go ahead, you can probably just tighten that one and tighten the other two, and then we'll get this other keel piece on here. Pretty good. And thing here, get that nice and tight there. So that just leaves us up in here. It's got one bolt that we left in that's loose. That one kind of just sits in there, and the keel will spin onto that. But we also have one small nut that's got to go on there, the smallest, skinniest nylon nut. And that'll pull that whole tail end together, and then we'll spin that keel on nice and tight, that upper zinc part. What do you need, 5/8? 9/16. Get that tight. Good, you need a deep well. Deep well and extension. All right. And on this motor, and you just got to be patient, and on anything that you do. And the last but not least, once he gets that tightened up, is a special zinc adapter they got. I call it a keel because it resembles the bottom of the keel. And I'm going to go ahead and anti-seize that as well. And we're going to spin that on there once he gets this thing tightened up. That way, this metals have chemical reactions of being close to one another under the water or whatever. You'll be able to get these off. While you're in there, just anti-seize anything you can. Make sure you torque it up right. Use the proper lock washers, and you should be straight. And we'll drop this in some water and test it even with our air blow tube there once we go through that outlet. And it should come out the bottom down here. If it doesn't, it hisses in the middle, then it's not sealed right. You want to snug up these other two with the 5/8 on both sides here. Okay, you got those. So we'll just spin this bad boy on there. And that sits in there like that, and he's going to have to go down through this top, through this little check plug here. Yeah, and he'll put the wrench down in there. And this motor will be one step closer to being done. You just want to sit it in there just the way it's sitting at a 45-degree angle. Take pictures of everything before you take it apart. You have to put a crescent wrench on here to hold that thing straight. I'm just going to hold it with my hand. Snugged it down, it's nice and straight. And it comes with this little teeny plastic cap, which you might or might not have, and that just punches right down on there. You can see it's got little clips on the side. And you want to be gentle because all this stuff is old. Old. Push it down in there, done deal. So now we can fill up some water, double check it with the water, or we can run air up into this little spit out point here, and it should come out, and you should hear air way at the bottom down here. If you don't hear air there, and it's hissing out down in the middle here again, you're done deal. Or while you've got it taken apart, you can blow in here and plug up the end of that copper pipe, and it should be pretty airtight. If it blows out anywhere in between, that means that gasket up there is bad. So we're gonna get some water, get this thing set up for you. And we might not bore you with that. We know it's gonna be good to go. But when you do that impeller pump, if you're still having leaks, make sure you order those parts. All those seals from Growly Marine or anybody else that can get a hold of those. The Growly Marine's a good area to go to. It's a good website to pull your motor, open up the schematics of it, print off those pages just for your own reference as a manual, and then it's easier to track down those numbers. All right guys, so we just got the water pump in, got the brand new impeller pump, and we just showed you to top off the video that most of the videos that we see, nobody's ever changing the pickup tube. And where that copper tube went up from the impeller pump, you got the pickup tube gasket up there, the one neoprene hard washer, the one softer washer, and the one gasket that actually bolts through with those two 8mm heads that goes up into the bottom of this, the motor, the water pickup. So we're good to go. We got the rabbit ears on there, or ear muffs. If you don't have these for your boat, you can buy them. Basically, you just screw the hose on this side, you put it over that motor, depending on what kind of motor you have. These are round muffs here. We've got a square pair here that you can see. So down here at the bottom, some of these motors on this particular motor, it pulls in water right from here from this lower housing. That's the propeller, and it's square. It's more rectangle, so we have the rectangular ear muffs there. And there's two of them, one on one side, one on the other, like I showed you. And you're just gonna slide it over here like this and cover up those shark's fins, that square inlet, get that water shooting right in. On the other side is the other half of those ear muffs right there. And you can see it blocks off the other side so the water just doesn't come through. And we've got plenty of water juicing this thing up now. June's gonna go ahead and start this. And if everything's working right, that new pickup tube to those new pickup gaskets going in the bottom of the motor, the power head, it's gonna circulate through that head and come out this tube right here and spit straight down back in the water. So if it's doing that, we're good to go. I have no problems taking the boat out on the water. We'll monitor and run it here. I'll feel the head, you can feel the top head. So let's fire this up and get this video done and get you guys back on the water. You ready? Just go ahead and pull that up. Yeah, you got the choke there. All right, so you can see how strong that thing's spitting out. June had the advanced idle up in the front there, just about halfway. So we're good to go. Fix that yourself, and when you order that impeller kit, make sure it's not going to come with those upper pieces. If you want to tackle that the way we did it, cool. If not, try the bottom. While you've got it open, run some air up through that spit tube right there and see if it comes out the bottom. If it's airtight, then you're good to go. If not, you're going to have to change the upper part of the upper pickup tube. And you saw how we did it. Just watch everything, take pictures of everything. I'm Keith, that's June right there. And we're out of here. It's getting ready to rain, but we're gonna crush out one more video before we head out. I'll see you. Hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you soon.
I'm not a pig, I'm a lawyer.